the chief guest, Honorable Sagala Ratnayaka, the National Security Advisor to the Honorable President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, keynote speaker of the inaugural ceremony of the Colombo Air Symposium, Professor Adam Leong Kokwei, Admiral of the Fleet, Vasantha Karannagoda, State Minister of Defense, Honorable Premitha Bandara Tennakoon, Excellencies of the Embassies and High Commissions, Secretary to the Ministry of Defense, General Kamal Gunaratne, Chief of Defense Staff, General Shavendra Silva, Commander of the Army, Lieutenant General Vikum Lianage, Commander of the Navy, Vice Admiral Priyanth Pereira, past commanders of the Air Force, members of the diplomatic community, distinguished invitees, academics, researchers from home and abroad, officers of the tribal forces and police, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to all of you. As the commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force, it is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome this august audience to the Colombo Air Symposium 2023, the 6th edition of this Air Power Conclave. The Colombo Air Symposium can be considered as the epitome of a platform that offers the right mixture of researchers, air power practitioners, policymakers to present, unpack, analyze, and deliberate on the nuance of air power. Specifically, in the context of ever-evolving regional and global geopolitical landscape and the security architecture. Despite its hiatus for the last 3 years, looking back at the previous editions of the Colombo Air Symposium, it is apparent that it was a plenary that converged on scholarly deliberations under single theme that encapsulated the nexus between concepts and applications of air power within the domains of defense and security. The geopolitical and the geographical disposition of our country bestows upon us the unique and distinct capacity to capture the policy interests of national, regional, and extra-regional stakeholders, with the prime emphasis on the air and space domain. Ladies and gentlemen, this scholarly platform substantiates key issues and areas of interest through research and thus will ignite intellectual discussion through its formal sessions as well as in casual interlocutions. The discussions, I trust, will eventually recalibrate the strategic thoughts of the stakeholders. With such an aim, undoubtedly, the present regional and global geopolitical and strategic landscape of the Indian Ocean region provides a complex and environment that necessitates in-depth research and analysis with evidence-based approach. It is also indispensable to recognize the distinct differences between the Indian Ocean and also the Pacific Ocean. I strongly suggest you the vacuum of a structured cooperation and coordination architecture in the Indian Ocean region appeals to the notion of collective security. It is also pertinent to note that these shifts in the strategic paradigm have gained credence in the Indian Ocean region. Whilst the littorals and the hinterland seek to consolidate their mutual interest, they live in an era of socio-economic downfall, geostrategic unpredictability, and protectionist policies. Yet, Sri Lanka is aspiring for collective security and promoting interoperability. Against this backdrop, this year's Colombo Air Symposium intends to unpack the nuance of this strategic discourse through its theme of fostering shared interest in the Indian Ocean region, geopolitical cooperation, complexities, and compulsions. Under the mantle of this main theme, this scholarly conclave is expected to expand its academic inquiry through a pragmatic yet evidence-based approach. I'm confident that this symposium will bring forth intellectually stimulating research and their findings that are expected to reverberate through policymakers, air power practitioners, and researchers in interpreting the present geopolitical landscape and its translation into the air and space domain. In conclusion, I earnestly welcome Professor Adam Leong Kokwei, Professor of Strategic Studies and the Director of the Center of Defense and International Security Studies at the National Defense University of Malaysia, for accepting the invitation to deliver the keynote address at this inaugural session of Colombo Air Symposium. Certainly, his knowledge and expertise as a prominent air power scholar, author on international affairs, and a strategist with commendable reflections on the interplay between air power application in the complex context of geopolitical and geostrategic discourse, will set the worth preamble for the continuation of the upcoming 5 sessions of this symposium. My heartiest greetings are extended to all the distinguished and honored invitees, high commissioners, ambassadors, and members of the diplomatic corps, and respected civilian and military invitees from home and abroad for becoming stakeholders in this academic journey. I congratulate the Air Force Board of Management and the members of the organizing committee for their steadfast commitment to make this edition of Colombo Air Symposium a great success. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted and honored with obligations to welcome all the researchers, co-authors, and presenters of this edition of Colombo Air Symposium for the academically sound and evidence-based research that explores the nuance of air interest in the Indian Ocean region. Finally, I'm extremely confident that the Colombo Air Symposium 2023 will be the kernel of knowledge production in the era at crossroads in national and regional strategic interests in air and space domain. Thank you.